This is Daily Dose of Daryl with question 3 of this 5-question exam. The Library Club, I ran across it in an old annual today going through some stuff, and I realized I'd been surrounded by books most all of my life. And I had begun a learning process that has lasted so long with books and people. Every week we would go to the state capitol and take over the state government and pass bills and share ideas. And that carried on into a 47-year career of reading and books. And I actually was able to pass them along in retirement to someone else. And I had no room to keep them all. And it was a really great thing. I had 3 things that I required. One, they would be free. It was someone wanting to grow and someone who would share good news. I did have room to keep a few books. I still have some more. I'm always surrounded by books, and I'm forever learning. I trust that all of us are, and actually we are whether we know it or not. It's just what we're studying. And so be sure we're studying the right things, because every day we're taking in input, we're learning things, whether it's books, people, what we see, what we hear. And the library thing has carried on in my life. To actually been on the library board for a while and associating with the library and realizing the library is where I actually began my process of learning how to use a computer, which was that transition from the printed page to the digital page. I've always been a friend of the library. I hope you are too. And other ways we learn in various forms of service, like at the fire department, there's so many things to read and to learn, regulations and protocols. And then you actually are studying when you're actually on the field, beginning to share with others, people that have gone before you. And whatever area of life you are, where you work or whatever you do, there's always a learning process. So we need to be sure to learn to share that with others. Now, my first time in college, the entire building right there was a computer, 3 stories, and it was the first class to register with a computer. And now that whole building can be put in one of these things. The brain of the computer has gotten smaller and smaller, but able to hold more and more. And whatever you put into that brain of the computer is what you get out. So this computer, this hard drive, or whatever it is dependent on learning for whatever you put into it. It's just like our brain. Our brain is a computer, and we have a storage capacity just like these. And what are we storing in our brain? Because whatever we're studying and is what we're going to end up being and learning. And these are called easy stores, and it is easy to store things in our brains, whether we're trying to or not. But sometimes we have a program error in the computer, and that can happen in our lives. If you'll notice, this water was so pure, and we just added a little bit of yellow, and it begins to change that pure water into something that I don't know if I'd want to drink it or not, but it's probably still okay. But it looks kind of pretty, but then you just add a little blue, and it ends up resulting in green. And now I'm thinking more and more like, that doesn't look all that great. And you just add one more drop, and it continues to change. And that's like it is when we put red in, the results just get worse and worse. And that's like it is in our lives. We can get so mudded down with things that aren't pure and aren't right and aren't good. And with each, it just results in ugly, dirty water. And so let this little illustration be a vivid thing to know that what we study is what we become. So be careful to study the good things and the lasting things, and be sure to fill up our brain, because what goes in our brain goes in our heart, and what goes in our heart goes out. Study healthy food, and you get a healthy life. Study attractive food, and you get an attractive life. All of these things are sort of like it goes together. And another thing that's really important is, remember, learn from good people who care about you. And so you have to evaluate that. And this whole learning process is so important. Study the right source and make sure that your life here and eternally will depend on it. So make sure that you put into your life and study the kinds of things that will certainly last you both here and beyond. This daily dose of Daryl, if we learn what we're studying, what will we know? If I learn what I'm studying, what will I know? Is it temporary or eternal? It might be time to reboot with some good stuff. So I encourage all of us on this daily dose to examine what we're studying and make sure we'll know the right things and we'll go the right way. God bless you, and share this with others as always.